moving on to our book review. Now, Patrick Holford is a British nutritionist and author. Holford is also a major proponent of a low glycemic load diet as ideal for weight control, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer prevention. He proposes that many chronic diseases are better treated with diet and supplements than with pharmaceutical drugs and other modern medicine.
Thank you very much for joining us on our book review. Tell us about this book, Burn Fat Fast. Doesn't everybody want to do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about the fastest and easiest way to lose weight. And it comes out of some very interesting new research, which shows that if you have 3 days a week or alternate days, you have lower calories, but most importantly, you eat in a way that keeps your blood sugar even. It actually switches on genes that make you skinny. So you can burn fat much faster, and it's very, very healthy for you too.
All right. You mentioned researchers. So who are these researchers and how credible are these methods you're talking about to help burn the fat?
Yes. The research was conducted by Professor Cynthia Kenyon at the University of California. And she's very, very credible and leading the field of understanding how what we eat actually affects our genetics. And what she found in her animal studies is that the secret is actually to get insulin down. Whenever you eat sugar, the body produces insulin.
Right.
And insulin both turns off genes that help to keep you skinny and young and turns on genes that promote disease. And she found that if she fed the animals lower calories, but actually she soon realized it was a diet that keeps your blood sugar even, then you got all these positive changes. And if you gave the animals a little bit of sugar, all the positive changes went. And then what happened from that is there have been a number of studies in humans, in us, which have found out that if you put people onto what's called a low GL, or low glycemic load diet, a diet that keeps your blood sugar even, 3 days a week, you get a lot of weight loss. And we have thousands of people who are losing something like 7-8 kilos a month without any problem at all, without feeling hungry.
So take us through some of the foods we should take and how we should combine the different foods and what we should stay away from.
The important point always is you're trying to eat in a way that keeps the blood sugar level even. And what sends your blood sugar level up is carbohydrates or sugar. So we're talking here about, wheat, bread, chapatis, rice, fruit, sugar, fizzy drinks. All of this is carbohydrate. So the first thing to learn is to eat the carbohydrates that release their sugar slowly. So for example, cornflakes is very fast releasing, but oat flakes, like in porridge oats, very slow releasing. So that's much better for breakfast. Apples are slow releasing, but bananas, they're fast releasing. Now there's nothing wrong with a banana if you're very physically active. But a lot of us these days, we get in the car, we drive to work, we're not active. And a banana will send your blood sugar level up much higher. So, for example, if you chop some apple and you have it with some oats, this is much better than having banana with cornflakes. Now, so you learn which foods are slow releasing. Now, the second thing is that whenever you eat protein with carbohydrate, it makes you feel fuller. So, for example, if you're hungry and you eat an apple, does it satisfy you? Not really. But if you were to eat an apple with some protein, now anything you plant in the ground that grows, a seed or a nut or a bean, this is protein. So if you ate an apple with some peanuts or some cashew nuts or some almonds, so this is carbohydrate with protein, then you feel much fuller. So for example, if for breakfast you have white bread, this is worse than having brown bread. Okay? But if you have bread and jam, this is sugar and sugar, carbohydrate and carbohydrate. So the blood sugar goes very high. And by the way, when the blood sugar goes high, the excess sugar is taken by insulin to the liver and turned into fat. So you know you have too high blood sugar when you are getting fat around the middle. Abdominal weight gain is a sign of a blood sugar problem. Now, if you had whole wheat bread, but with protein, like with egg, that's very, very good. It'll make you feel much fuller for longer. So, for example, if you have a main meal, you want to have half of the plate is vegetables, and a quarter is protein. So it would be the amount of meat or fish that would fit in the palm of your hand, and a quarter is carbohydrate. So it's only a quarter of the plate should be rice or pasta or spaghetti or potatoes or or corn, maize, ugali. So the big problem is if you eat a ton of ugali, and very little meat and no vegetables, then ultimately you're going to get fat. Okay. So it'd be less ugali, a small amount of meat and lots of vegetables.
All right. You've also mentioned supplements. You propose that some supplements are used, and of course many people will have the concern of the health. How healthy is it to have these supplements? Yeah.
Everything in Burn Fat Fast is not only exceptionally good for weight, and you don't feel hungry, because when the blood sugar level dips, that's what makes you hungry. But also it's exactly the same strategy for reducing your risk of diabetes, of heart disease, cancer, and living longer. So in terms of supplements, insulin, what happens is the more the blood sugar goes up, the more insulin we make. And then you become what's called insulin resistant or insensitive to insulin. So now when you eat some carbohydrate, the body releases insulin, but it doesn't work. And it's to do with there's like a receptor, a docking port for the insulin, and that works better if you have the mineral called chromium. Chromium is an essential mineral which is naturally in foods, but for example, if you refine sugar, you remove 98% of the chromium. And in a lot of studies now, if you give people chromium, what happens, the insulin works better, the blood sugar is more stable, so it's very, very good for people with diabetes. But it also makes you feel less hungry, and it makes you crave sugar less, because that's another sign that your blood sugar is out of balance, is you're always craving something sweet. The other thing that works very, very well is something in cinnamon. So cinnamon is very good news. In fact, this morning I had oats with apple and some ground seeds and some cinnamon. And cinnamon also helps to stabilize the blood sugar. And there's a very specific ingredient within cinnamon called cinnulin, which does this. And I recommend, the diet works anyway, but if you also supplement something called cinnachrome, which is this combination of chromium and cinnamon, it works even better. And it's particularly good if you have sugar craving.
So you're talking a lot about what we should eat, what we should not eat. But what about keeping fit, exercises? Is there room for that in your book?
Yeah. In truth, the effect on weight loss of diet is much greater than exercise. But the best effect is achieved when you do both. And in the same way I'm explaining how eating a low GL diet switches on skinny jeans, there are also exercises that do the same thing. And what you need is two kinds of exercise. One is the exercise that keeps you fit, which we would call aerobic or cardio exercise, and it's anything that gets your heart rate up. And you actually need to have maximum fat burning half an hour, 3 times a week, of anything that gets your heart rate up. Now, if someone is very overweight, that could just be walking for half an hour. If you're fitter, maybe it's jogging or cycling or swimming or something that gets the heart rate up for half an hour, 3 times a week. But also very, very important, especially later in life, is to do something that builds muscle. Because most people from the age of 40 are losing half a pound of muscle a year. And this is why older people get a lot of back problems. Now, muscle burns fat. So if you don't have any muscle, you don't have the means to burn fat. And for exercises that build muscle, this is called strength training. And I work, my co-author with the book, Kate Staples, she's a world-class athlete, and she has developed a very simple routine which takes 8 minutes, and you do it 3 times a week, and actually builds muscle. And in the book, this is all explained, but also there are films that you can watch, so it's very easy to do. And basically you have 4 exercises, which you do each for a minute, twice, and that's 8 minutes. And you only have to do that 3 times a week. And by the way, there are exercises for beginners, if you're not fit, for intermediate, if you're reasonably fit, and for advanced. And the combination of diet plus exercise plus supplements is amazing, not only for losing weight, but getting more energy.
Maybe you can give us some of the examples of the foods we should and should not eat, how we combine those foods. Yeah.
For example, when we were talking about breakfast, you know, to have oats with some fruit like apple and some nuts or seeds, or to have a whole wheat bread with some egg. So these are 2 examples of breakfast. We also have a shake which is called Get Up and Go, and this is very easy because you just take this powder and you mix it with milk and again some fruit. In truth, the best is is berries. I know they're not always easy to get, but you can do it with another soft fruit like banana, although the blood sugar is a bit higher.
All right. Also, I always ask every author, we have books written on every topic under the sun. So what makes this book different from others that we know have been written on the same subject?
I think that there have been different approaches to diet. One is just reducing calories. And the big discovery here was that you don't have to have low calorie every day to lose weight. The other, for example, we've had diets like the Atkins diet, where you have no carbohydrate at all. So it's just protein and fat. It works, but it's not very healthy. And what we've learned is the reason is it controls your blood sugar. So what I've done here is really to take, and this is the first diet that has done this, to take the latest science and combine it all. So what you have is 3 days a week where your calories are lower, but you're eating low GL diet to keep your blood sugar level even. And what we're finding is that it's just much easier to do. People are not feeling hungry, the weight is coming off very, very easily. And you know, if you have to diet every single day, it's hard. But if you have 3 days where you eat less and you eat the right foods, you know, that's not a problem. And even if one day you blow it, then you just make sure that in the week you have 3 days where you're eating the burn fat fast way.
Finally, it is a bestseller in South Africa, and on the 1st of October you have a conference here in Nairobi. Tell us about that.
So it's here in Nairobi at the Louis Leakey Center on October the 1st, and we have a seminar. It's 2 hours from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and I'm going to be showing exactly how to do this. I will explain the science, you know, why it really is a very healthy approach, and I'm going to be running through all the foods, all the rules, all the exercises. So the purpose of the Burn Fat Fast seminar is that everybody who attends it will leave knowing exactly how to do it. I'll even be having people up from the audience to learn the very simple exercises. They're really not difficult, and I'm hoping that there's going to be a lot of weight lost here in Nairobi on October the 1st.
Thank you.